Good evening, good evening, good evening. I pray that everyone is doing well. Robert Smallwood here with Revealing Word Ministries. I welcome the family. I hope that you are excited about tonight. Listen, we are under a really severe storm watch, and we are um, there's even a tornado warning. So I pray that everyone is safe here in Nashville. Listen, if you're following us and you're watching us on YouTube Live, I'm going to ask that you do us a favor. Just please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube Live, also hit that notification bell. That will let you know every time we come on. Now, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, we want you to also like that Revealing Word Ministries Facebook page. Also, we ask that you like the post, and we're also going to ask that you be involved, that you share this post on your page, but then be involved in the conversation. So, YouTube Live and Facebook Live, we're going to ask that you all be involved in the conversation. We have been doing this series called Win. It's the second day for this series called Win. Last week, we talked about We Win. And I think one of the things that I thought about as I started talking about We Win is I needed to add some balance to how we as winners, how we as saints who win, how we get through, how do we win, how, and there would needed to be some balance to this conversation. And so today I'm going to take a different approach, but I hope that if you stay with me long enough, it'll minister to you and it'll help you navigate your way through winning. Now, this is Holy Week, and so I'm glad that I have the opportunity to talk to you. We just went through Palm Sunday, and we are getting ready to come up to um, this Resurrection Sunday and Good Friday. So I prayerfully you all will be encouraged in what you hear tonight. I want to get right to scripture because when we're talking about winning, one of the things that we always, not always, but most of us, we look at I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. One of the criteria that we've got to look at as saints is we have to be reminded that the thing that we do that helped us win was through Christ. The strength that we got to win, the perseverance that we got to win was through Christ. And so we have to be constantly reminded that the thing that we do or the winning that we've accomplished was through Christ. Now, this is important because we have to give God thanks. It said, but thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Uh, the victories that we get in life are given to us by God. I don't want you to think that you have no part in it because God he instills talent and character and he instills intellect and wisdom in you, but all of that is from God. It says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. The thing I've learned in church, I've learned through prayer, through fasting, through making mistakes, through getting things right, is that this labor that we do, this love of Christ that we have, it's all given with the ability of God. So we have to stay steadfast. We have to stay in the fight. We have to stay in the race. We have to remember that everything we do is through Christ, and it's His love. It's His mercy on us. It's His faith in us that keeps us going higher and higher. And I want you to get this. I need you to understand this because one of the things we don't want to do is we don't want to get intoxicated with the wind where we start believing it was us, intoxicated with the accomplishment where we start believing it is us that did it. And so if you're with me, this win part two, we're going to talk today about the art of winning. The art of winning. There is an art. as believers that we have to follow. There's a way to win. There's a way to come out on top. There is a way to accept the award. There's a way to walk in favor. There's a way to be the first and not the last. There's a way. There's a mindset that we must adapt. And maybe I should have said the mindset of a winner. But there's an art in winning that we all have to, or that we would want to understand. And see, this is important because a lot of times um, you think that people see your character by how you lose, but sometimes, believe it or not, they see your character by how you win, by how you win. And so it's important for us to go back and add this balance to this conversation so that we can see, oh God, give me strength, that we can see how we can win. We can see and understand how we win. Well, here we find that the first thing that you have to learn to be a winner and learn how to win is you have to be noble. Now, nobility is hard because in nobility, we're going to ask you to rise above what happened, rise above the circumstances. We're going to ask you to silence the strife between you and your opponent, between you and the person that you had to beat, you and the system that you had to beat. We're going to ask you to be noble when you win. There's an art to it. You're going to rise above it. You got to learn to release. You got to learn to release the battle. When you win, the person that you won over is no longer your enemy. You've got to learn to release the pain. A lot of times when you're going through a battle and when you're going through this process, there's pain involved in it. But you have to learn to be noble and release the pain. Don't hold on to it. Don't let it drive you and drive others away from you. Don't let it make you believe that you're higher than someone else. You have to learn to release the pain. You also have to learn to release the adversarial relationships. A lot of times we find ourselves that when we are going through the processes of winning, that's right, Elder Majors, you got to have a humble spirit. Uh, we develop adversarial relationships. When we win, we've got to be noble and we've got to learn to release people, places, things, systems as our adversary. We've got to show them the love of Christ and the compassion of Christ when we win. We've got to learn to be noble. Here lies in Philippians 2, verse 3 says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. When I win, I can't continue strife. I can't have vainglory. I've got to make sure that I'm humble. I got to esteem others, even the ones that didn't win, higher than myself. I've got to learn. We've got to learn how to win. I hope someone's being helped by this already. Because a lot of times what we do when we've won, we create enemies because we've not learned how to handle being first and not last. We've not learned how to be blessed going out and blessed coming in. We have not learned how to be above only and not beneath. We've got to learn how to be the saints of God and operate in character and integrity. And so, once again, in this win part two, we're going to deal with the art of winning. Why? Why am I dealing with this? I'm dealing with this because historically, we found the church to be mean spirited to people who are not of the church. Historically, we found people who are not of the church to not want to be in the church because of the pride and because of the higher than stance that we take to sinners or people who are not in our same denomination or in our same clique. And so we've got to learn then how to be above only, how to be above. We've got to learn to have the right spirit. We've got to learn not to esteem ourselves better than everyone else. And this is the pot of soup we've made for ourselves. This is the thing we've got to get out of, and we've got to try to get out of. Here, I want to take you to Joseph, story of Joseph. We've been dealing with it, but I want to go back to it because these are some of the characteristics of a noble winner. In Genesis 45 and 4, Joseph said to his brethren after they had come to him, he says, "Come near me, I pray you." And they came near, and he said, "I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt." Now, there should be a lot of tension here because he's taking them through some tests. He's taking them through some things, and now um, he's revealing himself to his brothers. And I know now that when you read the scripture, it would seem like they would be taken aback. This is the brother whom they thought was dead. This is the brother whom they sold to the Egyptians. This is the brother who they lied to their father about. And he had every right to want to make them pay. It was some odd 20 plus years, 23 years probably, since the time that they sold him and now the time that they see him revealed. But he says to them, "Be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life." How noble is this? What, what he does is he sees his brothers, but he doesn't hold on to what happened. He doesn't hold on to circumstances. He silences all the strife. He releases them from the battle of being the brother whom they despised. He forgives them for the pain that they've caused them over the past years. He divorces himself from the adversarial relationship that he would have with them. Oh, I feel God. The next thing we have to do is we have to learn how to be flexible. When you win and on the road to winning, you have to learn how to be flexible. One of the things we've got to teach our children, instead of holding grudges, instead of having beefs with people, we've got to learn from our failures in life. We've got to persevere until the end and become gracious when we win. We've got to teach our children this. We've got to get back in the church and talking about how to be gracious. We've got to learn how to talk about persevering. We've got to learn how to talk about being flexible. It might always go according to plan. It might not always be the way you thought it was going to be. But if you're flexible and you keep a God perspective, oh God, I bless you. You'll learn how to win through this. You got to let some stuff go. I'm learning from my failures. I'm learning that maybe everyone that left me wasn't my enemy, but maybe I didn't perform the way I should with them. Maybe I wasn't the right person with them. Maybe I failed the relationship. Maybe they had no other reason but to leave. And so I've got to learn then is to wait for the end of a thing. God, while you're working in me, work in them. God, help me to be gracious when I come to this next level. Help me to keep things in a God perspective. Help me to see that, God, even though I went through some stuff, you took me here so that I could preserve life. You've got to learn how to be flexible in the situation. Herein lies Romans 8:28 says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. In the end of the thing, that while I might be failing through the process, while I might have some issues and I might have my ups and downs in the process, my confession's got to stay the same, that all these things are working together for the good. My confession has got to stay the same, that I've been called according to the purposes of God. I love God, and he's going to help me get through this. I hope y'all are with me. When I'm flexible, I stop concentrating on the failure. I stop concentrating on the pain and the battle. I make up in my mind that I'm going to keep a God perspective and I'm going to see God win through this. My life is going to be a living testimony on how God takes a failure, oh my God, and he works it out for my good. So as we watch Joseph, we see then that he says to his brothers, God sent me before you. Watch this. To preserve your posterity in the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. What did you do when God calls you to bless those that have hurt you, that have plotted against you? This is the art of winning. This is the character of a winner. He recognizes by being flexible that all those things, even the dreams you gave me, God, were about this. They were about this time. They were about keeping it in perspective that you sent me so I could prepare a way. You sent me so I could capture posterity. You sent me to save lives and to give a great deliverance to not only these people that you sent me to, but to my family who sent me away. This is how we win. This is how we win. So he says now, so it was not you that sent me hither. Watch this, but God. See, when we start understanding God has a purpose and there are things that he predestines to happen. And so when we begin to understand the art of winning, we understand that people, places, and things sometimes are nothing more than props to the setup that God has over our life. People, places, and things are nothing more than the setup to what God is getting ready to do and what he's getting ready to accomplish in our lives. I can't get so caught up in winning and beating and subduing and taking over that I don't learn from the failure. I'm not flexible in this myriad of things that are going on in my life, in our lives. And so we've got to have the right attitude in this. He said, he has made me a father to Pharaoh and the Lord of all his house and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Watch this. So now what he's saying is, even though you didn't receive me, God had a land that would receive me. And even though you didn't perceive who I was in God, if I wait long enough, God was going to allow me still to forgive and bless. I had to learn how to forgive and to bless. I had to learn how to be gracious in this thing. I had to learn that all difficulties aren't difficulties to knock me out. Some difficulties are there to make me better. Oh God. And I want you to learn this, brothers and sisters who are on tonight. I want you to learn the art of winning. I need you to learn that there's some character things that God works in you, even through the pain of the process. This process might cause me pain, but I'm learning through the pain, there's victory. I'm learning that through this process, there's victory, that I can come out still as pure gold. You got to learn. That's right, Elder. I had to learn. And see, I had to learn to stay steadfast. I had to learn to stay in it. I had to learn that if I ever wanted to know him as a healer, I had to be sick. If I ever wanted to know him as a deliverer, I had to be in a place where I needed deliverance. And so there's an art to winning with God. It seems sometimes that it's upside down, but trust me, if you wait and if you trust God, he'll bring you. He'll bring you to the place that you can come out. He says, haste ye and go to my father and say unto him, thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord over Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. When you learn the art of winning, when you have an opportunity to be gracious and help those that are around you, sometimes help those that have despitefully used you, or help those that have mistreated you, help those that you love, you spare no time in doing that. You understand that God blessed you so that you could be a blessing. And this is where we have to get to. We have to get to the flexibility of no competition, the flexibility of not trying to be the big brother or the big sister or the big uncle or the big nephew. You've got to learn how to be the small mother and the small brother and the small sister, meaning sometimes you've got to take down and humble yourself, even though you've accomplished a lot. And you've got to learn not to hold on to things. Learn not to hold on to, and to make people pay for the issues. You've got to learn to take down and say, you know what? Part of winning and the art of winning is learning how not to be haughty when I win, but learn how to be a blessing for others when I win. And so here he says, go get my daddy, because I want to bless him. I want to bless him. The next thing you've got to learn how to do, and we're going through this today, is you've got to learn how to be responsible. I want you to hear this. You are not only accountable for how you feel about others through a battle, through an adversarial relationship, through competition, but also you're responsible when you win for how the masses feel. I love when I watch a championship game and they are interviewing the coach, and the coach says something that a lot of them say it. He says, I'm so happy for my team, but I want to tell you, those guys across the line, that was a great team. They gave us all they had. We were fortunate to come out because on any given day they could have won. This was a great team. I want to take my hats off to the coach, the coaching staff, the players who played with all their heart. This is how you are responsible as a winner. I'm reminded of a picture that went viral a couple of weeks ago. It was of my brother-in-law's favorite basketball player, Juwan Howard. Gordon always talked to me about Juwan Howard's character and about how he watched Juwan Howard all the years and watched how he came up through the Fab Five with Michigan, how he played the pro ball, how he played for the Heat, how he did. And he said he wasn't the best stat guy. He said, but his character stood. And so when Juwan Howard got into the altercation he got in earlier this year, I questioned my brother-in-law about this man's character. But then I seen Juwan Howard when he won, and I think the team they beat was St. Peter's. And St. Peter's, if my memory serves me correctly, had a storybook run to March Madness. But one of the players was beside himself, and this young man began to cry from losing, with no one else nearby from his team. Juwan Howard walked up to the young man and embraced him and held him and was responsible to the feeling of loss that this young man had. I wonder how many of us would hold and reassure the person we just beat, would help them. See, the thing is that when we win, brothers and sisters, one of the things we fail to do as preachers, we fail to do as those that sit in barbershops arguing the gospel, those that debate the gospel, is we got to remember to let others keep their dignity when they're wrong. You can win, but be responsible when you win. Let whoever you are dealing with in an argument, in a conversation, um, um, whenever you get the money that God promised you, whenever, be responsible. Don't look down on others. Be responsible. Let the people who are not as blessed as you are keep their dignity. And then if it's a case of right or wrong, still allow them to keep their dignity. Our job is to correct with love, to teach with love, and help them. That's right. Don't. I love this one. Don't win the argument and lose the soul. This is what we spend so much time in the body of Christ, beating folks to submission, beating folks till finally they say I give. But they don't ever want to come around you again. They don't ever want to be around you. You keep pushing your stuff in their face. You keep making them feel bad about what they have versus what you have. Be responsible. You're not only accountable for how you feel about others, because yes, you got to make sure you're responsible in your own opinion, but make sure your crowd, make sure your clique responds accordingly also. We're almost finished today. Pharaoh said to Joseph, say unto thy brother, this do ye, lay your beasts and go, get unto the land of Canaan. Then he says, finally, he says, and take your father and your households and come unto me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and ye shall eat the fat of the land. See, when you start becoming responsible when you win, everyone that is associated with you will be responsible also. The Pharaoh had no obligation to bless Joseph's family, but he does it out of his obligation to Joseph because Joseph is responsible, and he allows his brethren to keep their dignity. I am sure if Joseph berated his brothers and mistreated his brothers, Pharaoh would have followed suit. But because Joseph shows the way, then those that are around Joseph, they follow suit. Listen, today is just a brief Bible class. I hope it blessed you. I hope there is something that's there. We tried to keep it brief because of the storms that are coming. And I'm not sure how long we're going to keep a great signal, but I wanted to make sure that I wanted to deal with the art of winning with you. I pray that as you go back and maybe replay this, that you start seeing that there's got to be some character and there's got to be some things that you bring into the winning circle. Listen, I want you to realize that you've got to be noble when you win. You've got to learn how to rise above what happened, rise above the circumstances, silence the strife in that, learn to release the pain, the battle, the adversarial relationship, learn how to forgive. Number two, you've got to learn how to be flexible. You got to learn from your failures. You got to persevere until the end and become gracious when you win. You got to keep a God perspective in all of it. And then finally, you got to be responsible. You've got to make sure you are not only accountable for how you feel about others, but how those that are connected to you feel about others. You got to make sure that by your by the way you act and by the way you treat them, others keep let them and you allow them to keep their dignity. I think Brother Kerry or I saw Kerry on here. I'm not sure, uh, but and maybe I just saw it and I thought I saw it, but said that you cannot win the battle and lose your soul. This is so important. There's an art to winning as a saint of God. I pray that you were blessed by what we gave today. Listen, some giving options if you decide you want to give into the ministry. They're right below me. If you want to find out more about the ministry, you can go to our digital website. Our footprint is www.rwm-nashville.com. Go there, read up, watch a couple videos. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you can go on Revealing Word Ministries Facebook page and see some of our videos. Or if you're watching us on YouTube Live, the Revealing Word is the site. And please just go and watch our playlist, Revealing Word Ministries playlist, and you can see all the things up and down there. Listen, please, if you came in late, go back and hear it. It was just a quick 30 minutes of the art of winning. I think it'll bless you. I hope it'll bless you. Now, listen, this week is Resurrection Sunday, and we've decided to be in service with another ministry. So we'll be going to Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and we'll be in ministry with Good Shepherd Church, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Listen, it's going to be a great time. I hope you decide to go. We'll be observing communion right after service. They will also be serving a dinner right after service. And listen, meet me there in Hopkinsville, Kentucky at Good Shepherd Church. We'll be posting the information on the address of the church, but I want you to know that there's a word from God for Resurrection Sunday that I hope that you'll be part of. Listen, please come back and see us soon. My name is Robert Smallwood, and we want to thank you for being with us. Like always, we say, God bless you. Get out there and live your best life. Now, listen, here's the deal. We want you to know that if we teach in love, we can reach in love. We know that. So the thing is that you come back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and hopefully you'll see us on. And we're on Sundays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. This Sunday will be a little different, but normally we'll be on Sundays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I want to thank you for being with us. Prayerfully, we'll see you soon. Once again, my name is Robert Smallwood. Good night.